morning. My name is Susan, and I work at the Tab Library.
And I'm Tiffany, and I work at the Yorktown Library.
And today, we're going to be talking about those tricky middle school relationships. So if you've gotten to the middle grade section of the library, then you've probably experienced lots of different relationships. They're complicated, and they come in so many forms. Parents and friends, and in middle school you get those crushes, and sometimes it's really hard to know if a boy-girl friendship is a crush or just a friendship, and it's hard for the people in your lives to know, and it's tricky to figure that out on your own. So today Tiffany and I have some books to kind of help you navigate those tricky middle school relationships. So I read some books that are mostly about boy-girl friendships, and there's no crushes, there's no kind of romantic feelings in between the boy and the girl in these. So I read Sal and Gabi Break the Universe by Carlos Hernandez, and this is one of the Rick Warden Presents books, which I just love all of those books. They're fantastic. And it deals a lot with Hispanic mythology. And cool. It's very good. I loved it so much. And then I also read The Colossus Rises by Peter Lerangis. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right or not, but we'll go with it. And I'll be honest, I wasn't as crazy about that one, but the boy-girl relationship in that one is really good.
So it's still a good representation, even if you may not necessarily like the story. Okay.
Exactly. Now, this one is really good if you've read the Percy Jackson series and you're looking for something kind of along those same lines, funny and adventure and that kind of thing. So this one is about a boy named Jack, and he is kidnapped and taken to this mysterious island and thrown in with 3 other kids and told that they have this ancient gene that is going to help save the world. And I'm not going to give away too much more because I don't want to give away the story. But one of the other kids on the island is Allie. And Jack and Allie become good friends, and they kind of team up together in this fight to save the world that they're on. And even the other kids that they're with kind of tease them a little bit. Oh, Jack, you've got a crush on Allie, and Allie, Jack is really cute. What do you think?
Just because they're a boy and a girl, everybody always assumes that, they must like each other because they hang out all the time. Exactly.
And that's not the case at all. They just want to save the world. So
no small task.
Not anything big. They just want to save the world, and they have to work together to do it. So that, it's kind of an interesting. Jack starts out maybe thinking he has a crush on Allie, and then he says, no, she's just an awesome person to be friends with. And Sal and Gabi, kind of the same way. So Sal and Gabi meet, and Sal is a magician who can rip through the universe to reach other alternate universes.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool. Yeah, it's very cool. And Gabi is like this overachiever, school council president. I love Gabi. She's hysterical and so awesome. And they come together to save the universe because they've broken it, so they have to save it. And it's really interesting to see the parents and the adults in their lives kind of tease them about, Sal, you spend so much time with Gabi. Gabi's really cute. You guys would be a cute couple. And it's the adults in their lives that are saying that, not the other kids.
So you're not just getting pressure from your peers around you, you're also getting pressure from the adults.
Exactly, which is an interesting thing because I would like to think that I would be very encouraging of a boy-girl friendship in middle school. You're too young to be dealing with that kind of thing. Just be friends, just, have fun together. But the parents were very much the ones who were kind of pushing them together, and they kept saying, no, which was kind of funny that they both were protesting so much. But I just thought that was an interesting dynamic and something that isn't shown a lot is kind of that parent pressure, that adult pressure on the kids to be something more than just friends.
And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this book talk, is to talk to our middle grade audience about how even though you feel this pressure from your peers and from the adults that you see in these books and stuff, these kids still stood up and said, no, that's not what we're about. That's not what we want. Even when, what did you say the main character you said of the boy's name here? Sal, like, knew that he was, like, interested, but at the same time...
Oh, no,
like,
this one was Jack, sorry.
Jack was interested but wasn't quite sure. It's okay to explore those feelings, but it doesn't mean you have to be like, oh, everybody must think I have a crush on him, so now that must mean I have a crush on him. Mm-hmm. There's no pressure. There should be no pressure. So if you feel pressure from your peers or adults, do what these guys did. They know what they want. They knew that that's not what they were about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I can't recommend Sal and Gabi enough. I just love them. And there is a sequel. Sal and Gabi fixed the universe. So, at least they fix it. So that's good. And again, it's a Rick Riordan Presents book, so it's going to be fantastic. So, Tyffany, you read some about crushes, right?
Yes, I wanted to explore the other side of it, where they're standing up for themselves and saying that, no, we're just friends, that you can have boy-girl friendships without needing any kind of romances. So I went to the other side to talk about crushes. One of them is Ogre Enchanted, and this is a prequel or a before book. It's one of those 0.5 before Enchanted, actually. And then the other one is Crush, and it's a graphic novel. And this is by, let me see if I say your name right, Svetlana Chmakova. Svetlana Chmakova.
Good job.
Yes, I did practice that to make sure I said it right. Both of these books explore different crushes and relationships, but also about how you don't need to immediately be like, oh, I have a crush on somebody, I immediately need a relationship. They're just exploring that. The first one I want to talk about is Crush. Crush explores all of different kind of relationships. It's not just about who's got a crush on who, like as it says, Crush. Mm-hmm. It's about the friendships you have in high school and middle school, the friendships you have with your teachers, the relationships you have with your parents.
Oh, okay.
It literally covers everything. Of course, the main storyline is about Jorge, who gets a crush on a girl and doesn't quite know how he feels about this. He's never had a crush on anybody, so he wasn't even sure what it was in the first place. So it's really great to explore that, but what I really wanted to point out is that Jorge is best friends with Liv and Garrett, Liv being a female, Garrett being a male, and they're all just friends. All three of them. And especially Liv and Garrett, they grew up together and they constantly fight like cats and dogs, but they're best friends. But it's one of those like, I'm going to beat on you, I'm going to beat on you. Nobody, absolutely nobody makes a hint or a mention about
really
that they're in a relationship. Nobody. They're like, no, they're just friends. It's a very forward-thinking book that not only covers normalizes the fact that these three are friends and there's no pressure about needing to be in a relationship with any of them. Now, there is still some teasing in the book when they find out Jorge has a crush on one of the characters, and they are like, oh, does this mean she's your girlfriend now? And there's a little bit of pressure, but it's kind of in a cutesy way because they do like each other and their friends are trying to help them come out and feel their relationship really because they want to be in a relationship, they just don't know quite how to do it. So there is some encouragement, but it's a really, really great book. And it also talks a lot about the dating and code of conduct. This I thought was very important because when you're in a relationship or when you just want to be in a friendship, you're trying to explore those relationships, but you need to know where the limits are. You need to know how to conduct yourself amongst males and females. Yes, and they, like I said, it's a very forward-thinking book that it's not subtle about it. They're having a dance that's coming up, and the teacher straight up are like, here's the code of conduct. Do not touch anybody who doesn't ask to be like,
oh wow, I
you
love
do
that.
not touch anyone. This is how you respect people's boundaries. And even like there's a part where one of the boys invades one of the girls' spaces just teasing her because she doesn't really seem to like guys or anything. She's like, I'm not into that stuff, whatever. And they invade her space, and they're like, no, that's not okay. They address it. Jorge jumps right up and is like, that is not okay. So it shows men who aren't afraid to stand up to other men as well. So it's breaking all kinds of stereotypes.
That's
fantastic. I can't recommend this book enough. And it also has 2 other ones. It's part of it's Berry Brook Middle School series. So there's 2 other books called Awkward and Brave. And it's also about middle school with these characters. And so I can't wait to read the other one. So I super recommend that.
Middle school is so tough, and anything really that you can find to help with any aspect of middle school is fantastic.
I truly think that this is like the guide. It's the book. And yes, it's a quick read because it's a graphic novel, but even parents who I know aren't thrilled about their kids always reading graphic novels, I really do suggest this book. And you know what? Graphic novels in general. Break that stereotype you think about graphic novels being lazy or easy. They're really great books. I love
get some great stories in graphic novels, for sure. We could do a whole video about graphic novels.
We'll do another one. We'll talk more about graphic novels another day. But for now, let's move on to one of our thicker books. This one was Ogre Enchanted. Like I said, it was part of a Ella Enchanted story, but completely different character. Her name is Evie, and it's about how she is a healer. She lives for healing and doing medicines and just helping her town and area around her. And she has it starts off right away at the very beginning, so this isn't quite a spoiler. It's about what the whole story is about. She has a helper, Wormy, who just is always there, and he seems to always be sick and always getting her help and stuff. And then you start to realize that he's just there because he really likes her.
Aww.
And then he proposes to her, and it's a huge shock. And she's like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, no, you're my best friend. I don't want to marry you. She has no romantic feelings. She's all about her medicine and her work. And then a super nosy fairy comes out of nowhere because apparently she needs to be there for all the big romantic engagements. Like, she needs to be a part of them because she's like, she's very high
fairies in this world are troublemakers.
Oh,
that's what got Ella into trouble.
They're not nice people. So this fairy shows up, and when she rejects his proposal because she's like, no, we're best friends, I can't do that, I'm sorry, the fairy turns her into an ogre. And says that until you have
reasonable.
Yeah, right, totally reasonable. That you have like a month to say yes to a proposal, or else you'll stay an ogre forever. And it's like, okay, so talking about pressure, this is super
that's a
pressure.
lot of pressure.
It's like, how do you make that decision? How do you? It's like, okay, so I stay an ogre, or I marry somebody who I'm not in love with. And so this entire book is about going on the journey of discovering what is love. What is love? What is a crush? What is all this stuff? But now she has to figure it out as an ogre.
Right.
And she keeps getting confused because she gets this thing called a tingle. And her mother explained it as when she met her father, she got a tingle in her heart where she knew it was love.
So sweet.
But unfortunately, ogres get the tingle when they're hungry. And I won't lie, I felt that tingle too when I've been hungry. I fall in love with food hard.
That's amazing.
It's just one of those things. So now she's got to navigate the difference of what's an ogre tingle and what is love tingle. And that can be super hard. And it's like, even though this is a mystical world, when have you ever felt something and you're like, I don't know what that means. Am I hungry? Am I in love? Am I just friends with this person? Like, how do you figure out those emotions under that kind of pressure? So even though it's not the same kind of pressure, you think, oh no, that's not what it's like at all. Honestly, that is the kind of pressure you're under. Like, for all of our middle grade readers, that pressure from adults and that pressure from your peers, it may not be mystical. You may not turn into an ogre, but the pressure is real. So she goes throughout the story, and she falls in love with a couple people, but she's not quite sure, and she's trying to figure out how she feels about these relationships. And I won't give out too much because otherwise I will spoil the stories. But
don't do that.
Wormy comes back into the story, and he's trying to figure out if what he feels is true love, and because he keeps proposing her, like, just accept my proposal. Even if we don't get married, I'll save you from this. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't love
do this
you.
Right.
I'm going to do this right. So even though there's all this pressure on her, she does it her way.
That's fantastic.
So no matter what, and that's what the moral of the story I feel like is, and what's great for our middle grade readers is, no matter what happens to you, no matter the pressure that's on you, it's your choice. It's all about choices, and your choice is what's going to affect your life. It doesn't matter about what it does to anybody else. When it's a relationship, it's your choice how you want it to be. And that I loved about this book, because the whole thing is filled with all these different relationships where they're making these choices. Some of them end really well, some of them end really badly, and that shows the real life of making choices, is that it doesn't always work out. So you really got to think about what you're going to do. Not to put more pressure on you. Not to scare you. And for those of you out there who have read the Goodreads reviews on this book, who say there's a lot of Ella Enchanted haters out there. Like, meaning that they love Ella Enchanted so much, they hate on this book.
Oh.
And I was like, I didn't care for Ella Enchanted out there. Now listen, I know that's a huge controversial thing. Ella Enchanted is a really good read. I fully accept that, but I just didn't care for it. This book though, I loved.
That's great.
Loved this book. So if there's people out there who are like, oh, this is a terrible book, and they just review it as Ella Enchanted lovers, it's actually the reason why I read it, because I didn't like Ella Enchanted. Turns out I liked this book. So even if you don't like something in the collection, doesn't mean that you won't like something else in it. So don't always base your opinions on books on the Goodreads and the reviews that it gets, because just because it's not for others doesn't mean it's not for you.
It's the modern version of don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
Don't judge a book by its Goodreads reviews.
Goodreads reviews. That's perfect. Yes. But yeah, so in the end, this book is about choices, and the choices that you make in middle school, and when you're reading books like this, that's what it is in the end. These guys choose not to have a relationship because that's what they feel is best for them. In these ones, some of these characters choose to have relationships. Some of them, it's because they're doing what they know is right for themselves and for everyone around them, and that they discover what love is and what a crush is and if they should explore it. And then others, unfortunately, make a hard decision that they need to live with that now. And so in the end, what I truly say is just make sure you make choices. And these books will help you navigate that stuff. I know it's crazy to think that you can get that kind of insight from just regular fiction books, but
it's easy to see yourself in books, and it's easy to see the relationships, even with your parents or your teachers or whatever. You know, it's easy to see yourself and what you are going through in books. So keep an open mind when you read when you read these books, and think about how you can relate some of the things that they do to the relationships that you have in your life.
That's very well played. I couldn't say it better. So we recommend these books for all of our middle graders to read, so that way they can get an insight into what they're about to go into. It's going to be a messy world of emotions, and it's not to be afraid of them. Explore them and be safe, and just remember that it's always your choice. Now, if you want to read any of these books or books similar to this, we have them at the Tab Library, we have them at the Yorktown Library, and you can also get them vice versa from either one. All the information is here in reach for you. No matter what type of relationships you're trying to form, whether it's friendships, crushes, or if you're just even trying to better your relationships with your family and your teachers, we have the resources here for you. But yeah.
And don't forget to go to our Facebook and Instagram and YouTube pages and see lots more stuff for teenagers, for tweens, for all ages.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks so much.
Bye.